Okay, folks, so this practice is specifically for the psoas muscle, which some of you will know and others you may not. And I'm doing this particularly because most of the people that I've massaged this week have had something going on in this area, and it's basically, I'm going to try and keep it really, really simple, but it is the muscle that helps us run if we're in danger or like curl up into a ball. So effectively what it does is it, when it is not relaxed, which for most of us it isn't, it keeps us in an upregulated state, which is fight or flight, and then obviously the functioning of our internal organs and all of our internal systems is put in like what I guess we call it like safe mode. So nothing's functioning optimally, which obviously has a knock-on effect in so many different ways. The problem with this muscle is it's really deep in the body, so it's not easy to get to. So I'm going to give you a number of different things today. Actually, you'll need a block. I don't have one. I've left mine somewhere. So I'm going to use a roll, but if you have blocks, grab them. 2 blocks ideally, one or something similar. Get yourself a strap, have a bolster, have blankets if it's cold where you are. Okay, let's get started lying down. So you're going to come all the way down onto your back. So this practice will be really quite, oh, that's not true. I was going to say it's gentle, but I'm just looking at it now and it's like, some of it is. Some of the practice will be gentle. All right. Bring the left knee into the chest. Let the right leg extend. And I'm just going to pop my timer on here. One second. There we go. So we got the left knee into the chest, we've got the right leg extended. Feel for a little bit of a tuck through the chin there, so the back of the neck is long. And what we're effectively doing here is we're shortening the left side psoas. So we've got psoas is either side of the body. And we're just very, very, very minimally lengthening the right. Okay, now this muscle, and I use the word trauma incredibly loosely because it's such a loaded word now, but whenever there's been any type of trauma to our tissues, whether that's through surgery or birth or basically anything, scar tissue especially, the psoas muscle keeps a memory of that. And what that means is the psoas then thinks that it has to stay in this like beware mode, like danger, danger. So this practice is about teaching the psoas that it's okay to actually relax, like there is no danger at this moment in time. And then as a consequence, we can downregulate the nervous system and hopefully get some of the internal organs working a little bit more efficiently as well. So just let the breath be natural. There's nothing you need to do here at all. Just going to take a couple more breaths here. All right, folks, and you can just gradually let the leg go there. Just pause and let both extend down through the mat. And I just want to flag this again, like it's not going to be a practice necessarily that's a really like deep, intense stretch or major releases, but what you will notice is there'll be probably quite a lot of like sighing, like and that tells us that the nervous system is actually starting to downregulate, so we know that the practice is working, even if the feelings aren't like super intense. All right, let's change sides. Oh, it's definitely different for me on this side. So we've got the right knee into the chest and the left leg extends. You're not looking for any particular sensation. We're not trying to release or stretch anything. We're simply just introducing the notion that it is okay to relax to the psoas and the surrounding areas there. You might start yawning, you might fall asleep. It's all welcome. Alrighty folks, couple more breaths here again. Nothing you need to do, nothing to change. Just know that we're coming towards the end. And then again, just start to slowly release that leg down. So just going to give a little bit of time in between each place today and just notice. Notice how the blood may feel a little bit more flowing through the pelvic bones. Maybe there's a sense of feeling a little less up-regulated or uptight or on. Alrighty. So, let's come up into, so I'm going to use my bolster because I don't have a block. If you have a block, I'd suggest that, because what can happen with the bolster is they can dip a little bit and it will destabilize the sacrum if you've got instability there already. Okay, so we're going to come down like we would into a regular bridge. So you guys will have the bolster or the block at the lower back, and you might want to start on the lowest height. You might want to start on the mid height, but I wouldn't go straight into the highest height first. Let's just start with the knees bent there. Okay, so you can have the knees knocking into the midline and the feet out wide, or you can just have the knees bent. We won't be here for like a super long time with this version, but I just want to give again, anytime the knees are bent, it's just allowing the psoas muscle to start to feel into the possibility of relaxing. And so because it is such a like ultra vigilant muscle, like if we don't take our time to help it relax, it's almost like a pointless practice. So yes, it might not feel like really intense physically, but think about this practice as being something that's working more on the internals and the nervous system than it is anything else. So don't worry if it's not really intense for you in terms of the feelings or the sensations. It doesn't mean it's not working. Alright guys, so we're going to move up a notch here. If it's too intense, you can always come back to the previous version. But we're going to bring the left knee into the chest, just like we did in the previous pose, but this time obviously the pelvis is a little bit more elevated, and you'll feel probably, you might not, but most probably you'll feel that it's a little bit more intense. If the hands don't reach to the shin, you can always hold on to the back of the thigh, which I think I'm going to do anyway, it just feels easier. But remember, we're not looking for these like massive global sensations that we're used to feeling. It's subtle, maybe, it might not be subtle for you, but most likely more subtle than a regular kind of yin pose practice.
slowly, slowly let that left leg extend out. You might just take a breath there. We will eventually rest in this position completely, but I'd like to go to the other side first. Bring the opposite knee in towards the chest. So remember, you can always hold the back of the thigh there. That's absolutely an option. It's nice just to even start with the back of the thigh just for the first minute. Feel into that, see how it goes. You'll notice when the tissues start to give a little bit, like we've all got our own kind of unique rate of release. You're feeling if there's an opportunity to go a little bit deeper by holding the shin, or you can stay exactly as you are. Alrighty, my friends, you start to extend the legs out there. Now then, you can stay like this. Maybe even taking like your arms over your head for an extra bit of opening through the front line of the body. If you're over a block and it's got an extra height and you do feel as though you can go deeper, then go there. And then the other option, if you've got a strap handy, it's one of my favourites. Now this is not actually, it doesn't work for everybody. So you might try this and feel that it destabilises the back a little bit more, in which case take the strap off. But what it does is it just holds the legs in place. So the psoas can release just a little bit deeper. Okay, so the legs are just held there like they can't move. Maybe come a little bit higher. And then remember, obviously, you've got your sacrum, which is the big bony triangle at the bottom of the spine. Oh my God, that feels amazing for me. So try it. If the strap thing isn't a favourite of yours, then obviously you make sure that you just don't do it. You get to choose your own adventure, my friends. And the adventure's got to be enjoyable. Well, to some extent anyway. Got my timer on, so we're going to probably stay here quite a little bit longer than the previous few poses. Again, just go for that, really aiming for that sense of comfort and ease in this practice today. The other thing you can do if this is really unhelpful in your back is take your bolster up to the wall and do legs up the wall with your pelvis on the bolster. So there is a slight inversion, and the strap around the legs as an added extra is actually really nice in that pose too. So you'd have the bolster with your butt on the bolster, the legs at the wall, and the legs have got the strap on. You can take arms over the head if you like. Feel for more opening through the front of the body. Okay. It's going to very slowly start to unravel here. I want you guys to come out in a way that supports you the most, obviously. You might want to do that quite slowly. We have been over there for a while. The only thing I will say to avoid doing is to bring your knees into your chest right away. So So you might extend your legs down. If that's too tricky for your back, like it feels like it's a bit locked, you can always do this with the knees into the midline and the feet out wide. Excuse me. But just, yeah, avoid that, because it shocks the spine when we've been in a certain position, like in extension, and then we shock it back into flexion. It can be a bit too jarring for the lower back. So we want to just allow the tissues and the bones to recalibrate or rearrange into their new position. Alrighty. Let's go up to seated. So I'm going to give you two options of this next pose. So the first option, you're going to be lying on your left side. And you'll have your left leg straight and your right knee bent with your right hand supporting the right ankle. Now for me, this is not relaxing at all, but for you that might be the case. You can also have a strap around the right ankle there, and you can hold that with the right hand. But for me, I just feel as though for a yin practice, there's probably a little bit too much effort. The other thing you could do, I guess, is put your foot on a bolster behind. So maybe something like that to support. That's a little bit less active through the glutes. But if you've got compensations through the glutes and things like that, it's probably not the best pose to be doing. If it works for you though, do it. So I want to give you the option to choose. So if it's something that does work for you, then be my guest. The other version we're going to do is a supine twist with one leg straight and one knee bent. Now, we'll start with the left leg straight and the right knee bent, just so my instructions make sense. Obviously got the option to put things like bolsters. Oh, it's probably a bit too intense for me. Start with bolsters on the top there. And I'm more interested about the right knee coming up close towards the chest there, because that's... Now, the other thing you can actually do, I just realised, is take that left leg over to the opposite side of the mat. So you'll start to get a release through the top of the left thighs into the left psoas, and then the right psoas is being relaxed. So it's like almost as though a cat grabbing the tail pose. But again, you don't want to be in any position that is really, really, really active and you're having to stress the body to stay there, particularly today, just because of the nature of the practice and the personality of the little psoas muscle. It's already pretty angsty. We don't want to create more angst. And it's really about just creating an environment for the body to know that it's safe enough to let go. And of course, that's not going to happen in an hour and stay that way, which is why we need to keep coming back and re-practicing these practices. So we're effectively re-educating the muscles, helping them understand like how to turn on and how to turn off. Like we focus a lot of our energy around activating muscles and teaching them how to be strong. And often we forget that they also need to know how to not work. That's the intelligent part of the practice. It's like they know when it's time to switch on and they know when it's time to switch off, so they're adaptable. The opposite to that is if we do heaps and heaps of yin and they're just off all the time. So we want to find a balance. Alright folks, we're going to start to move back through the midline. Oh! Just have a minute there in the centre, so let's not rush the process. You need to rearrange the pelvis. You can even take the knees from side to side, like we don't have to be always like ultra still in yin. Bit of yang in between poses won't hurt. But if you need to rebound in a still place, then do that, that's fine. Alrighty, let's go to the other side. So remember you've got that first option. So I'll show you from behind. I'll sort my mic. So you've got the arm straight there. And then you're holding this foot back like so. Okay, and if you want, you can put something behind to prop the leg up. If that feels like it's getting into the psoas for you, then by all means do it. I'm not going to do that one, it doesn't work for me. So if you're coming with me, you're going to be doing supine twist to the opposite side. So again, you can use a bolster there, add a little bit of weight, and then I tuck the bottom leg back a little bit. It's like you're coming into like a cat grabbing the tail, but not quite, because that's probably a bit too intense. And then this left arm can go out shoulder height, or it can go over the head. You can do whatever you like. Just a couple more breaths here. Preparing the mind at least to begin to take the movement. And then slowly, slowly, oh, if you've got any weight on the body, move that away first. Oh. Come back to neutral. Like, you can extend the legs long, you can keep the knees bent. Just again, avoid any sudden movements of the body. Oh. So again, a lot of yawning that indicates that there's definitely a system down regulation occurring. Even if we don't necessarily feel it ourselves. Oh. Let's ease on up if you've not eased on up already. So, if you've got blocks, you may want to use blocks for this one. I don't. So I'm going to use a roll probably just to show you guys what to do. But we're going to come into dragon. So if you need the knee padding, then make sure that you roll the mat over a few times. We're not going to keep this one too long. Now, if you've got two blocks, obviously 2 blocks either side is great. You can have one block with, so we've got the right leg forward first. You might have your right hand on the block there, like I have on the bolster, and then another hand like I have on the row. The other thing you can do is take the left arm over, so we're getting all the way into the left psoas. But if the arm is really, really active, I would proceed into that with caution. Like, if you let the arm relax like this, great. But yeah, we don't want to create any tension, whether it's through the psoas or through the arms. So ideally somewhere where you can relax and open into that left side. So you might have your hand on a bolster, hand on a block, you know, something else if you can get creative enough. It's a little bit more of a yang experience than the previous poses, so we won't stay for too long. But if you do want to stay longer, you can always pause the video and, you know, stay for as long as you like. We're just trying to balance like the release and the kind of, I guess, more activation, so that the psoas gets a bit of both. We definitely don't want to overdo this pose. Not today anyway. Couple more breaths. And separate the teeth, relax the jaw. Try to unclench the body as best you can. And then come out super slow. So you might just sit back onto your heels. Oh, I don't know about you, but I really needed that today. And we're going to come straight to the other side. Oh. So we've got the left foot forward. So I'm just going to make sure my mic is not covered. And then the right arm is overhead. Again, we're not going to stay here super, super long. Just enough to feel for that opening and let go through the whole right side line of the body there. Okay, friends, come out super slow. Oh. Hope you guys are making as much noise as I am back there. Oh, feels amazing. So you can come onto your tummy and have a rebound there, or you can just sit back onto kneeling. I quite like this. Just getting a moment to pause, uptake the change. All right. Final pause before Shavasana. Have your bolster nearby. You're going to come onto your tummy. I'm just going to put my mic down a minute. So we're coming into half frog. We're going to start with the left knee bent. Now you can just do this with no props. So the left knee's on the floor. You can have your cheek facing in the same direction or the opposite. If you want to add a little prop situation, you can put the roll or the block underneath your left knee. And then if you want to come up even further, you can prop yourself up onto a bolster. Okay, so they're all options. And you might decide that you want to take the unpropped version, that's fine. You might decide you want to do half of the prop, so maybe the roll under the knee but not the bolster. You might go the whole way, but choose what essentially opens up the inner left thigh up into the left hip joint. And you'll also feel it, well I do anyway, feel it on the right side there, like up near the hip joint too. So remember, you can always change your mind. You might decide that you come into a version that's really good for a little while and it gets super intense and you might need to back it off, or vice versa. Oh, ease on out. Move your props away for a moment. Just come down onto your tummy. Favourite cheek to the floor. Just let your body rest there for a moment before we go to the other side. Alrighty. Let's move to the other side. So I'm going to turn the whole way around here. So you can see this from the same side. You don't have to do that. But just remember that, I say this every time I teach, but it's because we forget that the tension's going to be different from one side to the other. So you might not want to work with props on this side, or you might, it might change for you. So just be open to that, and again, just willing to adapt and change accordingly. Alrighty, start to transition on out. Oh God. I don't know about you guys, but that feels good / awful. Oh, now then, we're going to finish Shavasana in a different way, but if this doesn't work for you, then obviously you can take anything else. Maybe even legs up the wall might be nice, or you can do Shavasana on your side with a bolster in between your legs. Otherwise, you're either going to use the bolster. If the bolster's too big, you can use like a little rolled up blanket like this. or a forest yoga roll. And then now if you're using the bolster, you can even do it so that it is, like, say your thighs are on there. And you get, like, that feels amazing. So the thighs and maybe even the hip bones are on the bolster. Okay, and you get a little stretch for the psoas there. All right, and then if you want to target more of the abdominal region, you can come over the forest yoga roll. So the roll is on the soft tissue of the belly. And then you've got the pressure there, you're going to lie all the way down. It's either or. I'm going to actually do the first version today, I think. I don't feel like a forest yoga roll. Alrighty. So you can have, like, favourite cheek to the floor. You can have your forehead to the floor. You can do whatever you like to get comfortable. And if none of those that I've given you working, you must do something that allows you to completely rest. And then use this time in Shavasana just to allow the psoas, it's super intelligent. It knows now that it's okay to relax. It's an opportunity to have, like, a little bit of a download. It's like the black box of the body. It keeps a record of all the things. It's time in this pause to let it kind of defrag